Hello, hello, Blackjack here again, and this will be part 2 on my talk on My Hero's hero costumes. We're continuing on with this next set of Class A's hero costumes, seats 6 through 10. And once again, going by seat number, this is Ojiro, Kaminari, Kirishima, Kota, and Sato. It's a good mix of ones to talk about, and I can even throw in a quick history lesson towards the end. And just as a reminder, I'm basing my reviews not necessarily on character design, but thought put into the costume. That means taking into account whether or not I find the costume is properly representative of a character, whether or not it has any thought into how it actually works, and if it truly works as a hero costume. Jumping right into it, and though he's not at the tail end of the video, we'll start with Mashiro Ojiro, hero named Tailman. Now, unfortunately, there's not really a lot to say about him. While I do think he's cool, and I do love how creative his tail quirk is, considering it's just a tail, the only time he's ever stood out is when he decided to not stand out at the sports festival. We've rarely seen him in action, and that's kind of a shame. We only see him for a few seconds at most in the USJ incident, and even his final exam was over in, 10 seconds or so? He hasn't really had a chance to shine at all. Even in Deku's hero analysis notes, Ojiro is referred to as the hero department's king of normal. Not really the shining recommendation for a hero. And even he's aware of it, admitting he doesn't really stand out, and also how he fights exactly how someone with a tail would fight. He doesn't even have a remarkable fighting style. He doesn't have the glitz and glamour of some of the other characters' quirks, and, to be fair, that's summed up pretty well in his outfit. The martial arts hero Tailman wears a martial arts gi. That's about it. Horikoshi admitted that, Ojiro's only standout is his martial arts ability, and it's enough of his character that his hero outfit is pretty much just a karate gi, a black belt, and that accounts for his tail, plus a little fur to match with his hair. One of the things I do like about it is that it accounts for his tail. He's one of the mutant types and has a very dimorphic body, if that's the word. And Horikoshi uses him as the example to explain that there's a lot of designers and shops that will custom tailor clothes to fit your quirk, because how else are you gonna find clothes with a tail? Overall though, much like Ojiro himself, it's pretty simple and not very outstanding. Still, it's something to say that in a class full of Bakugos and Todorokis, a kid that's really skilled at punching things and can jump kinda high, fitting in is rather impressive. Hopefully he gets a bit more play later on. I should also mention that Ojiro got a costume upgrade. That said, it's a pair of fingerless gloves. Yeah, that's it. I suppose there's not a lot you can do with such a simple quirk, but it might not have hurt to add a little protection, maybe some kind of weapon. Surely the support companies can make a sleeve for his tail? Ah well. Ojiro is a simple guy with a simple power, and a simple outfit. And I guess for the moment, that's all you can really say about him. Moving on. Well, it shouldn't really shock you if you've caught on to my costume criteria, I'm not a fan of 7th seat Denki Kaminari's hero outfit. Stun Gun Hero Charge Bolts isn't so much a costume as it is just a fashion choice. And that's not even me just saying that. He literally had it designed just to be cool with no regard for any improvements he could have made with his quirk. Admittedly, Kaminari isn't exactly the brightest bulb, ironic considering his abilities, but the initial outfit canonically has just nothing going on. Aside from an earphone receiver, his costume honestly just looks like something that a random citizen would wear. There's nothing that really distinguishes him from any random civilian in an attack, compared to the other outfits at least. At the very least, it's canon that Kaminari didn't put any real thought into his outfit. His battle strategy, if it could be called one, is to immediately discharge all of his electricity, thereby making him useless from that point forward. He's not smart enough to consider ways to improve his quirk, at least until that really starts to sink in. This brings us to his second outfit. Barring Midoriya, Kaminari's V2 costume is definitely the one with the most changes, and it starts to show that he's recognizing his flaws. It gets a lot of focus in the hero license exam arc, showing off that he not only rethought his typical attack pattern, but he also realized he didn't have any options for fighting with partners. If he discharged electricity randomly, he would risk harming them as well as the villains. And speaking of his upgraded outfit, I still don't care for it. The outfit itself doesn't actually change that much and still looks like regular clothes, but at the very least, what is improved is vastly improved. For one, it does something. It serves a purpose. Aside from the obvious, which I'll get to in a moment, the most notable changes are that he's added a visor and a belt. The visor itself looks to be primarily for show, knowing him, but he does put it on before his electric attacks, so it may also double as a blocker for all of his flashing lights. And his belt comes loaded with several charges for the other notable thing about his outfit. Kaminari's second outfit also comes equipped with is it just called a shooter? Names aside, it's a support item that fires metal pointers that he can use to aim his electricity. In a show of genius, he realized that, yeah, exploding with electricity is a bad plan for a hero, and unless you, say, have someone who can create an insulated blanket, you can't do that in a crowd. The shooter allows Kaminari to shoot his electricity arcing between opponents, and it's clear that thought went into how this design works and how it's used, but I still don't think the outfit really holds up. I do love the idea of the shooter, but it doesn't save the design from being anything more than just cool clothes. I also feel there's probably a few other places you could have gone to maybe channel electricity in a different way. Maybe metal points, staffs, that sort of thing. Anything that would just allow him to direct it a bit better. Even something that would allow him to discharge it safely without risking overfrying his brain. I do like Kaminari's outfit for what it represents, a guy prioritizing form of a function before realizing that he could better himself, but at the end of the day, it's not much of a hero costume. It is cool, though, which is more than I could say for some of the other costumes, but doesn't really have anything striking or overly heroic about it. Moving on to Seed 8, I would say it's not very hard to see that Kirishima has one of the better hero outfits. Sturdy hero Red Riot holds the honor of being one of the only characters in the series to have any sort of logo. I talked a bit about this in my All Might video, but for a series all about iconography, very few characters have any sort of identifying mark. Kirishima is one of the only ones to have anything, and even then it's just an R. The reason I like Kirishima's outfit so much is because it fits neatly into all of the criteria of what I feel makes a good hero outfit in my hero world. It's a representation of the person wearing it works well with their quirk, and it looks interesting and iconic. Starting out, Kirishima's character is all about the good old-fashioned appeal of manliness. And it's pretty clear to see what his definition of the term is, and you can see that on his outfit. Or rather, not on his outfit. Only the manliest of men can run into battle without a shirt, but then again, it helps when you're unbreakable. It works wonders for Kirishima, as his muscles and shoulder pads definitely give the impression of a strong, hot-blooded savior type perfect for a chivalrous hero. And the gear-like shape of his shoulder pads is intentionally supposed to highlight the hard-edged look, too. Perfect for his hardening quirk. Another probable reason for why he skips the shirt is seen on his sash. While having a torn cape around your waist is definitely cool, the reason Kirishima doesn't have a shirt is due to how his quirk rips cloth. You can see his gym uniform is pretty ragged in more than a few places as a result of his rough, jagged skin. He figured the same would happen to any clothes he wore in battle, so he elected to just wear the cloth of manly justice, not paraphrasing, as a badge of honor to show that he's ready to get rough. And speaking of rough, you can't get much rougher than his mask. Kirishima's face guard makes him resemble an Oni, a Japanese demon known for basically being a large angry mountain troll. It doesn't really have anything to do with Kirishima or his personality, but it is noticeable because, despite being a walking suit of armor, Kirishima's chink lies in his chin. The mask is meant to help against blows to the chin, where he's at his actual weakest, though it doesn't actually hold up all that well, apparently. Yeah, at least there was an attempt. No matter how hard you are, or how rough your skin is, getting a blow to the chin would knock your brain out pretty bad. Especially if you, say, have that hard skin. That would probably do a lot of extra damage to your brain if you got an unprotected blow. Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the nose, after all. Another weakness that Kirishima has is something he actually fixes in his updated costume. Well, not a physical weakness, he figured out that he wouldn't be much good at saving people if he cut them up during the save. For the same reason his clothes get torn up, his rough skin may injure people he's trying to carry. And to compensate this, Red Ryan version 2 features polyurethane sleeves, which cushion his arms and allow him to carry people without causing any more damage. Overall, Kirishima is definitely one of the stronger outfits, and a lot of thought went into how it actually functions. It fits his pursuit of manliness while also working perfectly with his quirk, and has the benefit of just looking cool on its own. And it also shows that Kirishima is thinking ahead for the sake of rescuing people. He's the type that would have thought hero work was mostly fighting before figuring out that you need to rescue people. Continuing on, we have the petting hero Anima, otherwise known as Koji Kota. Not that you would know that by speaking to him, because he doesn't speak. Much, anyway. I have about as much to say as his costume as I do about his actual design. I said I wouldn't really focus on the character design all that much, but Kota is one of the Class 1A characters that is decidedly non-human. For one, is he made of rocks? That'd be super useful, especially considering that would just be added defense while still having a unique quirk otherwise. And I feel like I'm going to be in the minority here, but I do kind of like his hero outfit. It has the right makings for a good hero costume at least, but doesn't quite nail it. Even more so than Kirishima, he's the one character to have a unique sort of logo. On his shirt is the only hint at what his quirk is until way later, only being confirmed in the final exam arc. It's a mouth. Well, it's not a great identifier, but at least gives you a slight hint at what he can do. His quirk and a voice lets him speak to animals and give them commands, which is done from the mouth. Yeah, kind of a loose message, but still, it's strange to see that he's the only one to get any sort of, official character logo out of everyone. In terms of the rest of his design, there's not really a lot to say. I think the best way to describe it is somewhere in the vicinity of a C-tier Marvel DC hero. The two-tone red and gold would make a decent jumpsuit, but the shorts kind of ruin the look. Admittedly, it fits with Kota's childish voice and his shyness, but a large character like him wearing shorts is always kind of a bit silly, isn't it? His second outfit doesn't address any issues, but it does add a few more details to discuss. Kota now sports some shoulder pads and has swapped his shoes out for boots, but the big change is a mask over his face. I imagine that the mask serves some sort of purpose, but we haven't really seen it do anything. Aside from minor protection, I saw it and immediately assumed it would have a microphone built in, but it doesn't really seem that way. It'd have been a good way to extend the range of Kota's voice, allowing him to call animals easier, but it looks like it's just for the look. Like I said, the elements are there, but they don't quite sync up. Even just extending his shorts would vastly improve the design in my opinion. Still, I will give him credit for looking like an old school comic book hero, even if it wasn't one of the more recognizable ones. And not to rush the ending or anything like that, but we have 10th seat Rikido Sato, aka Sugarman. Sato's another one of those not quite there costumes for me. Much like Ojiro, it's a simple costume for a simple quirk. Sato's a simple strength boost type and can convert sugar into strength. And that translates into a simple jumpsuit without a ton going on. It shows off his strength well, and the way it's shaded once Sato bulks up even becomes comparable to All Might's thick, heavy shading, showing that Sato has some serious strength, not accounting for the downsides, of course. Though simple, it serves a function in working with his quirk. Admittedly, it's a simple solution, but it's a simple problem. Sato's costume has several pouches loaded with easy-to-reach sugar. His mouth was left uncovered to make it easier to ingest, and he allows it to convert into strength. Why not just keep a bunch of it on you at all times? Before we move on to my final point about Sato, he's another character with a beta design. Kaminari also had one, but it's unrecognizable, so I skipped it for him. Sato, however, he ended up very close to how he was originally drawn. He had a bit more detail, but he still has the same sort of outfit and hair. The notable thing, though, is that he doesn't have his large lips, which make him a lot more distinct. And that's actually pretty important compared to what I have to say now. The thing I want to talk about most with Sato is something that you can see here. In his character page, Horikoshi mentions that he has that old-style feel to him. That's a very specific wording, and there's a good reason for that. Sato, and just as specifically his alias Sugarman, are more than likely a reference to a series known as Kaneko Man, though you may know the sequel series localized as Ultimate Muscle from back in the day. The short version is that Kaneko Man is a comedy series ripping on Ultraman. You can see in their little head fin designs, but it eventually turned into and became better known as the show about love, friendship, and wrestling. Well, wrestling in the sense that it's some nonsense anime wrestling, but you still get gems like the Kinniku Buster. Kinniku Buster! Well, a bit of conjecture, Sato's large muscled body, power set, costume, and most notably the big lips would make him fit in perfectly with the rest of the cast. Even this hero named Sugarman would fit in well with the likes of Ramen Man, Kaneko Man, Wars Man, and the Texas smashing Terry Man. While I do think it ended up a bit plain as a design, Sato's costume does gain a lot of extra points from drawing on the old school. Without that reference, it's a bit lacking, and there's a lot of empty space for some kind of logo on it, but I still think it's a great callback to Horikoshi's influence. And it works perfectly considering he's also a huge, big, strong man that probably will do a suplex at some point. Of the bunch, I'd say that it's a strong second to Kirishima's outfit. And those would be my thoughts on seats 6 through 10 of Class 1A. If you want to hear my thoughts on Shoji, Jiro, Sero, Tokoyami, and Todoroki, be sure to subscribe, and if you like my video, let me know. If not, let me know what I can improve on. And if you want, check out my other videos. I like the All Might one a lot. Blackjack out.